film noir.
Yes.
We are going to talk about Double Indemnity today.
Yes.
And what a classic and what a movie.
Absolutely. Should we just say who we are? I'm F.R. Jameson, and I write thrillers, sometimes in the noir variety and sometimes of a supernatural variety, but we'll focus more on the noir variety today.
Sounds good. I'm Debbi Mack. I'm author of the Sam McRae Mystery Series, the Erica Jensen Mystery Series, and other novels and short stories and screenplays, blah, blah, blah. And host of the Crime Cafe podcast, where
Yes.
F.R. Jameson appeared at one time.
Yes,
So here we are talking about film, and film is awesome. Film noir is particularly fun and full of twists and horrors and things that are not horror but can get horrible.
Yes. Full of danger.
Yeah, it's a close. There's like thriller, horror, mystery. They all kind of blend together at some point, I think.
Yes.
Horror is kind of mysterious and mystery can be horrible. But on the subject of Double Indemnity, what are your thoughts on the movie? Anything
Well,
initially?
first of all, to say, for anyone who has bizarrely tuned in without ever having seen the film, just give a quick
Can't
off the top of
imagine.
my head plot premise of Double Indemnity sees an insurance man named Walter Neff, who goes to a family home of the Dietrichsons to sort of renew an auto insurance, I believe it is. And there he means to see the husband, but there he meets the wife, Phyllis Dietrichson. And there's an
Wrapped in a
immediate
towel.
spark. Yeah, yes. There's an immediate spark between the two of them until she says something along the lines about could he sell accident insurance to her husband without her husband knowing about it.
You're a smart insurance man, aren't you, Mr. Neff?
Well, I've been at it 11 years.
Doing pretty well?
Well, it's a living.
You handle just automobile insurance or all kinds?
All kinds. Fire, earthquake, theft, public liability, group insurance, industrial stuff, and so on right down the line.
Accident insurance?
Accident insurance? Sure, Mr. Dietrichson. Wish you'd tell me what's engraved on that anklet.
Just my name.
As, for instance?
Phyllis.
Phyllis, huh? I think I like that.
But you're not sure.
I'd have to drive it around the block a couple of times.
Mr. Neff, why don't you drop by tomorrow evening around 8:30? He'll be in then.
Who?
My husband. You were anxious to talk to him, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, but I'm sort of getting over the idea, if you know what I mean.
He leaves, but she follows him back to his apartment, and they immediately fall in this kind of desperate passion with each other. And he decides to go for it with her. And two of them concoct a plan to kill her husband, having sold him accident insurance. They wait for the right opportunity to arrive. This comes when the husband is going to get a train to his college reunion. He's getting the train because ideally they want him to get a train for the plan to work, but he's broken his leg. So he's going to board this train. But before he gets the train, they kill him in his car. And it's actually Walter Neff, the insurance man, who boards the train. And he has his foot in a cast, but when the train is just leaving, he steps off the train, and then they put the body behind the train so it looks like the husband has fallen off. So they've committed this perfect murder. And yeah, they think they're going to get away with it. But the insurance investigator at Neff's firm, Edward G. Robinson, he smells a rat. You can't figure out what it is. So Phyllis, the wife, and Neff have to stay apart from each other, and a sort of gradual distance emerges. In the meantime, the dead man's daughter comes to Neff with some information, and she thinks Phyllis has committed the murder. The insurance investigator realizes that the thing that's bothering him is that if the victim had accident insurance, why didn't he claim for his broken leg?
What's on your mind?
That broken leg. The guy had a broken leg.
What are you talking about?
Talking about Dietrichson. He had accident insurance, didn't he?
Yeah.
Then he broke his leg, didn't he?
So what?
And he didn't put in a claim. Why didn't he put in a claim? Why?
What are you driving at?
Walter, I had dinner 2 hours ago. And is stuck halfway.
Little man of yours is acting up again, huh?
There's something wrong with the Dietrichson case.
Why, because he didn't file a claim? Maybe he just didn't have time.
Maybe he just didn't know that he was insured.
There's something suspect. The walls start closing in around them. Walter goes to Phyllis to go. He's going to kill her and frame some other guy, but when he gets there, Phyllis shoots him, but it ends up with her being killed, and Walter Neff drives to his office where he makes a full confession into the dictaphone machine, and at the end of it looks up and the insurance investigator is still over him.
Office memorandum. Walter Neff to Barton Keyes, claims manager. Los Angeles, July 16th, 1938. Dear Keyes, suppose you'll call this a confession when you hear it. Well, I don't like the word confession. I just want to set you right about something you couldn't see because it was smack up against your nose. You think you're such a hot potato as a claims manager, such a wolf on a phony claim. Maybe you are. But let's take a look at that Dietrichson claim. Accident and double indemnity. You were pretty good in there for a while, Keyes. You said it wasn't an accident. Check. You said it wasn't suicide. Check. You said it was murder. Check. You thought you had a cold, didn't you? All wrapped up in tissue paper with pink ribbons around it. It was perfect. Except it wasn't, because you made one mistake. Just one little mistake. When it came to picking the killer, you picked the wrong guy. You want to know who killed Dietrichson? Hold tight to that cheap cigar of yours, Keyes. I killed Dietrichson. Me, Walter Neff. Insurance salesman. 35 years old, unmarried, no visible scars. Until a while ago, that is. Yes, I killed him. I killed him for money. And for a woman. And I didn't get the money, and I didn't get the woman.
And it's all told in flashback because it
Yes,
starts
yeah.
off, it has one of the most amazing beginnings. I love
Mhm.
the way the beginning has the car careening through the street, and you get that brief flash of light that says LA Department of Waterworks or whatever, so that
Oh,
you know you're
it
in
says
LA.
it's even better than that. It's railway maintenance. So
Railway maintenance.
they're
Ooh,
fixing a problem that happened on the train, which is
that's so
what
cool.
he's going to do as well.
I had not noticed that. Wow,
I
that's
know,
good. Good
yeah,
eye.
yeah,
That's great. Yeah. And you know you're in LA.
yeah,
And so anyway, I mean, it's just such a great setup, and the music, all of it is
yes,
has one of the, one of the great Miklos Rosa, I think it is,
yeah.
did the music, which is just fantastic.
I was sworn everybody.
And it's perfect, for the story. Comes in at all the right moments, makes you feel
Mhm.
something. And I think for me, the thing that I noticed more than any other time that I've ever watched this, was the animosity that's kind of an undercurrent between Keyes and Neff. In
Yeah,
fact, when you get to about the half hour point, Neff is saying she had come to him, right? She had followed him, and they had this
yeah,
idea, right? So
yeah,
then he says, well, if I'm honest with myself, really, I've been thinking this for years. You know how
yeah,
insurance investigators are. We're always trying to cheat the system somehow, right?
yeah. It's like
You
a
know,
blackjack dealer looking at all the stuff that's coming in and knowing you can break the bank as long as
yeah,
somebody puts the
yeah,
hand
yeah.
down for you.
Right. So now I'm seeing this movie in a whole different light. It's less about the femme fatale, who is really more like a spark,
Yes.
she's like a icing on the cake. The
Yeah.
cake really is his ability to defeat Keyes,
Yeah.
to kind of give him a comeuppance a little bit and
Yeah.
say, you thought you had this all figured out. Well, you didn't. And he says it at the
Yeah.
very end. I mean, he
Yeah.
basically literally says it. Well, you thought you had it all neatly wrapped up with pink paper and a pink ribbon and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Tissue paper and a pink ribbon, that, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it's just really interesting to think about it in those terms, in terms of the two men,
Yeah.
rather than the woman and the man being,
Well, I mean, the last line of the film is "I love you too."
yeah, I love
It's
you too,
Beth saying to
exactly.
Keys, "I love you too."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's this whole relationship between them. It's almost like father and son in a sense,
Yeah. Yeah.
almost.
Yes.
And it's really interesting to just think about it in those terms, which I'd never really quite thought about
Yeah.
before.
Because you think of your classic film noir setup of, well, you've got a stereotypical one, which is a kind of not too bright man meets this sexy femme fatale, and he's a bit of a dupe, and she manipulates him into doing what she wants.
Hmm.
Neff doesn't need much manipulating.
Exactly. I mean, it's practically like they
Yeah,
always fall in love in record time in movies, but my God.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's like he's practically in love with her from the moment he sees her at the top of the stairs in that towel. It's like,
yeah,
oh, I kept thinking about that anklet, and I thought, oh yeah, that's Hays code for I kept thinking about what was under that towel.
yes, yeah,
Anklet my ass. Okay. But
yeah,
so and then of course they have that wonderful little banter. There's a speed
yeah.
limit in this state, blah
In
blah
this
blah blah blah.
state.
There's a speed limit in this state, Mr. Neff. 45 miles an hour.
How fast is they going, officer?
I'd say around 90.
Suppose you get down off your motorcycle and give me a ticket.
Suppose I let you off with a warning this time.
Suppose it doesn't take.
Suppose I have to whack you over the knuckles.
Suppose I bust out crying and put my head in your shoulder.
Suppose you try putting it on my husband's shoulder.
That tears it.
Yeah,
Which is very popular and everybody loves it and everybody always recites it. But I gotta be honest, I got kind of bored at parts with that because I've seen
yes,
this movie so many damn times,
yeah.
and it's like, okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, oh, Raymond Chandler, yeah, you are a wordsmith, and you kind of tell where Chandler wrote the lines because he wrote this
Well,
with
you
Billy
say,
Wilder.
you'd say that. I mean, I read the thing of Billy Wilder being asked, can you tell which of them? I mean, the two men did not get along, but you try to work out, you can tell which of the lines Chandler wrote. And Billy Wilder's pretty self-serving answer was, once you get into the mindset, it becomes quite easy then to do Raymond Chandler lines.
That's
So
true.
some of the
It's
ones
a good
you would
point.
think of him are actually me because I was thinking along Raymond Chandler lines.
So in a sense, it was Chandler influenced.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. Yeah, because
yeah,
Billy Wilder is not. I mean, he was also witty. He's done
yes.
other movies that have been witty, and I think he'd be capable of it.
Well,
Um,
looking, so I've been sort of working my way through his filmography, and I mean, there aren't that. I mean, it's nothing else that really, matches kind of a film noir setup. There's only really Ace in the Hole. That's just Sunset Boulevard to a certain extent, but Ace in the Hole is kind of one of the most hard-boiled films you will ever see,
hmm,
and that has a lot of the similar kind of dialogue.
Ace in the Hole.
Yes, The
What year
Big
is that?
Circus, it might be also called. That's Kirk Douglas, and he's a
Oh,
reporter
huh.
who that he's a reporter down, a big city reporter down with his luck in a small town in New Mexico, and he finds that there's a man trapped in a nearby mountain, and determines to keep him there for as long as possible to make the story go longer. He can come out sooner, but he sort of changes the rescue, so it's in longer, so the story lasts longer, and he gets his name in the press more. So
Hmm.
it's very cynical. It's a film that followed Sunset Boulevard, but it's very cynical and very, very hard boiled.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah.
One that's kind of cynical that's about the press that I like a lot is Sweet Smell of Success.
Yes, yes.
I just love
Which is
that
also,
one.
yeah, also pretty doesn't fall into film noir, but it's also incredibly hard boiled.
Yes,
When was the
very
last
much
time you
so.
saw Double Indemnity?
I just watched it a couple of days ago.
No, before that.
Before that, it's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been several years probably.
yes, because I haven't seen it probably in about 15 years.
Huh,
I've seen it
wow.
twice in the last 2 months. And it's interesting when you come back to a work like this, looking at the things you don't remember about it. That
Mm-hmm.
you can remember the broad strokes and the things you just don't remember. And so I had no recollection about the daughter at all. And I was watching her, I go, where does his daughter come from? And I think I've seen it twice in recent weeks. I think the first time it really bothered me because it's like I think it's like the weakest part in that um for her point of view as a character, her father has died in this accident stroke murder. And the only person she can seemingly go for sympathy about it is the man who sold her down an insurance policy. Does she not have any friends or
I
family?
know. Yeah. Well, I
We
guess
see that she had a boyfriend. She must have some kind of social skills.
yeah, yeah. And she did mention a name that she
Yeah,
allegedly, a girlfriend that she's allegedly going to hang out with, which she
yeah,
doesn't, of course. But,
yeah.
yeah, where is this other person and why isn't she talking to her?
I was watching it the second time. I think there's something quite clever about it. 'Cause I mean, I've read the book as well, and in the book,
I've got to read the book
Neff,
now.
or Huff as he is in the book, his name is the much much weirder sounding Huff, but he's Neff in the film, and in the book he falls in love with her, and that's one of the things is that in the film it becomes, I think, almost like a father-daughter relationship to her.
Hmm.
That he's a lot older than her anyway, but I don't think there's any romance. He's the one who encourages her boyfriend, his hot-tempered boyfriend, to give her a call. That he's kind of looking out for her, and it's kind of interesting because he is the one who's actually killed her father. He has
Yes, yes,
literally killed her father, and is now kind of playing a father figure role with her.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is interesting.
Mm.
There
But
was,
it did still take me out of it, but both times just thinking, what is this girl's life that she is the one? She is the one he comes to. Well, she does. I mean, she does label a kind of character point that he could have just let sit. And that Phyllis Dietrichson has said earlier that she was the nurse for the first Mr. Dietrichson's wife.
mhm.
She could have just let that sit there and just kind of, it suggested she might not have been the best nurse for Mr. Dietrichson's wife. But yeah, the daughter, Lola, does actually just label it as, yeah, I think she killed her.
Yeah, yeah. She
Yeah,
just out and says it. Yeah.
yeah,
What I think is interesting is that Neff didn't just leave and write a letter.
yeah,
I'm like, why are you doing this? Why don't you just
yes,
leave and write him a letter?
yeah.
But then you wouldn't have a movie, would you?
You wouldn't have a movie. Even shot.
You wouldn't
That's
have the
another thing
same
playing on
movie,
me.
that's for sure.
Yeah, playing on me. It's like the second year. Once the murders happen, you do have this perfect murder if it all goes wrong afterwards. Is how much is Neff's conscience playing on him?
Yeah,
'Cause I
that's
was
what I
wondering
kept
because watch
thinking.
it. 'Cause I was thinking after the first time I watched it recently. It's the daughter reawakens his conscience. He sees what he's done. But they're thinking there's nothing, even very close to the end, he's trying to figure out ways out of it. He's going to kill Phyllis and frame Nino for it. He's not exactly um playing someone who's guilt ridden. But I just want to, is I was thinking because watching the second time thinking it could just be that Fred McMurray's performance is giving you the impression that it is conscious. I'm not entirely sure the script is going, this man has had some kind of moral awakening. I feel there
Mm.
may be some the Frederick Murray's almost playing against the material, in that there's a kind of desperation to the character in the way it's written, that he's attempting to get out, and that he's going to do any way he can, but he plays it somewhat browbeaten. Of he's
Mhm.
telling himself, "I'm going to get out," at the same time as sort of a void screaming within him
Mhm.
about what he's actually now done.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I had the feeling throughout that he was almost subconsciously trying to give himself away at
Yeah,
times. I mean, he thinks through all the stuff that he has to do to make it look like he stayed in the whole night. But
yeah,
I even noticed when the guy broke his leg, I said, "Oh, he could file for insurance. He has accident insurance." And I thought, wait a
yes,
minute, he doesn't know he has accident
yeah,
insurance.
yes,
But if you don't, don't file a claim, won't that look weird? And
yes,
sure enough, it looked weird. So he kind of missed that. It's like he should have thought about that. He should have
yeah,
thought about maybe filing a claim on his behalf and pretending it's him. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like a little, they always miss something, and he missed
yes.
that big time.
Yes, well, James and Kane also wrote The Postman Always Rings Twice, which was a big theme of that is you miss it the first time round
Yes,
and
yes.
get it the second, so you get very much.
I've always hated that too. It's like, look, that one wasn't his fault, okay?
Yeah.
Ah, oh well. But it's Hollywood and in the Hays Code, and they won't let
Yeah,
you get away with, yeah. He can't get away with murder or whatever.
yeah.
No matter how, whatever, how it happened. He's not a good person. So anyway,
No, he's not a good person. Neither of them are good people.
no, they're not good
Uh,
people. I
No.
mean, Fred McMurray, yeah, it's really weird. I mean, when you grow up watching television, when I did, my first exposure to Fred McMurray was My Three Sons. So he was Mr. Nice Guy in my eyes. And then I started seeing him in all these old movies, Double Indemnity, the other one with Billy Wilder,
The Apartment.
The Apartment. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a real sleaze. I mean,
Yes.
so yeah, I mean, it was just really interesting. It's really interesting watching some of these people in old movies that I got to know through television, because
Yeah.
they play parts that are so different sometimes from the parts I saw them on TV.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we may have had My Three Sons in this country, but it would have been, I well, certainly wasn't on when I was a child.
I was
But
gonna say, I don't know
yeah,
that yeah, it was
yes,
a big thing here. I mean, it was a
yeah,
show. It was a show. It was around for a while, I guess.
yeah,
To be honest, I can't remember how many years it was around or how well it did. I just
yes.
remember watching it.
But all, I mean, he's very good in this.
He is very
He's,
good. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
and all three of the leads are very good.
I am a huge fan of Barbara Stanwyck. I will say that. I
Yes,
love
yes,
her in everything I've ever seen her in.
yes. What do you think of it? I mean, so I mean, it might be just me not paying enough attention, but I hadn't clocked that was a wig. So
Oh,
I read that Billy Wilder got 75% into shooting it and decided the wig was terrible, and then was too far into it to do anything about it now. But
oh
I
my
hadn't
gosh.
actually clocked that that was.
I had no idea. I didn't know it was a wig. But, I mean, I'm sure this happens all the time. They probably use wigs all the time for hairstyles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not a particularly egregious example if you look at it and go,
Yeah.
what a bizarre haircut. Once you
Yeah,
know that, you can kind of look at it and go, it is a bit white and poodle-like, now I come
it
to think of
is.
it. But yeah,
Now that you mention it, yeah.
yeah,
Of course, back then, in movies, sometimes you'd see them wear the most outrageous hats too.
yes,
It's like,
yeah,
good grief, look at that hat. It's
yeah.
it's it's almost taller than she is. Or, how many ostrich feathers do you need? And stuff
Yes.
like that. A brim out to here. It's just
Yes.
insane, some of the hats you see in these old movies.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but this is still, I mean, it's still quite a good movie. I mean, it's one of those movies that I think younger people, I wonder if younger people, how younger people respond to it, because there's a lot in there that's not politically real correct, and people might notice it and go, ooh, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's as egregious as, say, parts of, well, let's say Birth of a Nation. That's egregious. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
an
mean, you are
egregious
reaching for a
example.
really far out example there. So,
I am
it's
reaching for a far out
problematic
example.
art. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
or some of the more stereotypical stuff from, say, the Three Stooges. I don't know if you guys get the Three
Yeah.
Stooges there,
Yeah.
but yeah, stuff like that. It's like I think people can still relate with this movie at some level or enjoy it at some level, despite whatever failings it has due to the time that it was made.
Yes. And I mean, the times it was made. I mean, I can see why it would be harder for a younger audience in that. I mean, certainly in the sexual stuff, there's nothing overt in there. There couldn't be anything overt, but that possibly works in its advantage. I think body heat is explicitly based on Double Indemnity,
Yeah, I
but it's
believe you're
not.
right about that.
Yeah, but Body Heat isn't a film I particularly warm to. I mean,
Yeah, me neither.
it's fine. I'd rather watch Double Indemnity than I would Body Heat, which is a
Yeah.
lot more explicit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, movies back then weren't as explicit as they are today, and I think
Yeah,
in that way they were better, to be honest.
but it couldn't be, and that meant that there had to be a certain cleverness to get around what
You have to be
to
more
get
creative.
across what you wanted to say in
Mm-hmm.
a very constricted way. So I mean, that's the thing you say about the anklet. Of that then becomes a kind of symbol for not only her nudity but her availability that she has this anklet on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think y- those kind of constraints sort of challenge the filmmaker to convey a sense of sexuality without her throwing her clothes off, that kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That she is a good enough and vibrant enough screen presence to kind of give off that sex appeal anyway. I mean, it's pretty noticeable that. I mean, another reason why it seems more like a father-daughter relationship with Neff and Lola is that Lola is always very buttoned up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
compared to Phyllis, she's always very buttoned up and prim and proper. And the first time you see Phyllis, she's just in a towel.
Yes.
Or then she's there extending her legs towards Neff, and
Yes.
they have their kind of charged dialogue.
Right. Exactly.
The other one we haven't mentioned particularly is Edward G. Robinson,
Now get out of here before I throw my desk at you.
who kind
Uh-huh.
of has, he kind of has the kind of more showman performance.
I
And he gets
love
to do, big speeches while waving his hands and
I love
making
him in
dramatic
this.
points.
I think this is probably my favorite movie with him,
Yeah,
because I just love this character so much. He's so suspicious of everyone. He has his fiance checked out.
yes, yes. That's a funny stretch of dialogue. That,
She dyed her hair.
yeah,
She had manic depression in the family. Oh my
yeah.
God. Oh my God.
Yes, so there is really say that is relationship between him and Neff, and there is that kind of he's getting one over on Keys, but I mean
Exactly.
he does tell him that he loves him earlier in the film as well. There is that kind of
Mm-hmm.
they are two bachelors.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Walter. Next time I'll rent a tuxedo.
who have this kind of, I don't know, friendship stroke rivalry,
Sort of
but
a
also mentor
bromance.
mentee.
A bromance of sorts.
A bromance of sorts, yes. I don't think we are supposed to read it. Well, I can't, well, he wouldn't from a 1943 film read anything sexual into it.
No, no.
No, no,
There's nothing sexual in it. No.
no.
No, it's purely like a little competition or a challenge that
Well, their
that
minds
Neff,
work in much the same way in that they both, I mean, Edward G. Robinson is always looking for scams and things to pull over, but, Neff has come at it from a different angle. He's also looking for scams, but ones
he wants to commit
he
them.
can actually do.
Yes. He's trying to outwit the guy who's looking for the scams.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the engine that drives this thing
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
sense, with Phyllis sort of feeding the fire, as it were.
yeah. You're right. That Phyllis is kind of the spark. Neff does,
Yeah.
what Neff doesn't need much in the way of encouragement. Yeah, it's a pretty woman batting her eyelids at him is almost enough for him to do it.
Yeah.
And the
It
other,
just,
I suppose we've done most of the characters. The only one, and I said, so yeah, problem with the daughter. The other character who's almost a bit bizarre is her boyfriend Nino,
yeah.
who was almost comically aggressive. Weirdly out there as an aggressive character.
Yeah. So you can do better than this guy.
Mm.
It's a real jerk.
Mm. Yeah. So I say it's like kind of almost a paternalistic relationship for Neff at the end, but really you're setting him up with this guy?
That doesn't seem very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah, go to him or go to
yeah,
her, whatever,
yeah, yeah. Call this number. She'll be waiting for you.
Operators are standing by. Um, just so you know, we have about 8 minutes and change before
Yes, yes,
Zoom cuts us off.
yes.
Yeah, he's an interesting character, that Nino. He's not much of an alternative, but by God, at
Mm.
least he hasn't killed anybody.
No, no,
And
no. So
hopefully either he'll calm down or she'll come to her senses and realize this guy isn't for me.
yes.
But she's better to go to him than hang out with Phyllis, that's for sure. Or, with Neff is, like you said, more like a mentor figure to her, like a
Yeah,
father figure.
yes. Yeah, in the book he does properly fall in love with her. But
Huh.
the last third of the book is all over the place.
Wow.
It,
I'll have to
yeah,
check this book out.
yeah, it really is. It's much what is in the film for the first two thirds, and then it just goes nuts. Where it's
Interesting.
yeah, where it's just like one of the reasons Nino has been dating the daughter is that Nino's father was a doctor and Phyllis had been a nurse for this doctor, but
Oh
Phyllis
my
had
God.
killed 6 babies and the doctor had got the blame, and one of the babies dying meant
Oh
Phyllis
my,
got financial reward. And it's kind of
oh
like
my God.
we've kind of tipped into serial killer territory without anyone noticing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how they didn't include that in the movie, because really that would just have spun
Yeah.
the movie off into all different directions it didn't need to
Yes.
go.
Yes, it is.
Interesting.
There's a kind of weird. I mean, I read it years ago that after when they were writing the film, and Raymond Chandler and James M. Cain knew each other because they were both in the crime writer society. So Raymond Chandler would write James M. Cain long letters about the flaws he'd made in the book of Double Indemnity, and James Cain just took them with good grace. And then
Hmm.
when they finished making the film, James M. Cain thought, well, that would be enough for the letters. But Raymond Chandler moved on to his other books. not writing the scripts for them, but just going through them and writing letters to James M. Cain to tell him how all the mistakes he'd made in Mildred Pierce and the postman always rings twice. And
Oh my God. Jeez.
He'd be like a challenging friend to have, Raymond Chandler.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's really something considering he couldn't tell them who killed the chauffeur in the big
Yes,
sleep.
yes.
Yeah.
At this
Excuse
point,
me, but
do you know that Raymond Chandler is in this?
yes, yeah, he's the guy
Yes,
sitting on that bench. Yeah, he has that
yes,
cameo appearance. He actually looks up as Walter Neff's
yeah,
walking by.
yes.
That was probably the thrill of his lifetime.
He doesn't give me the impression of a man who enjoyed much.
He just sits
Well,
there,
I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah, he comes across as something of a curmudgeon.
He does, yeah, yeah. Well, he has a
Yeah.
great sense of humor and a great sense of style as far as language goes.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So
So,
I mean, I did wonder whether to, when I was thinking about the daughter things, I put it in the category of flawed masterpiece, but I think I'd actually fall in the category of actual masterpiece.
hmm.
What would you say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
I mean, I think this is kind of a quintessential film noir here. You know,
yeah,
one of the biggies, one of the most representative of what film noir is.
yeah,
I mean, it has a little bit of everything. It's got the femme fatale, it's got the cinematography,
mhm,
the voiceovers.
yeah,
Just it's really a great example of film noir. Um, so I'm glad we decided to talk about it.
yeah. It's a good one to start with.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
It's an excellent one to start with.
yes,
So next month we'll do another one.
yes. No, Out of the Past, maybe.
Out of the Past would be great. I love that
Yeah,
movie so much. Robert
yeah.
Mitchum is so good in that movie.
Kirk
Everybody
Douglas
is
doing that
so
strange thing with
good
a
in that
coin on
movie.
his fingers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
it's just a great, great
yeah,
movie. So full of little twists and stuff, and
yes.
Mitchum, who is just awesome. Mitchum was just awesome.
He was, yes, yes.
Yes. Well, I'm glad we had
Oh,
this discussion.
yes. It's been fun.
So we'll see you in a month then.
See you in a month. Yes.